Good afternoon. Today we're going to be talking about standards part two. Um, and for those who haven't noticed with me in that when I do my Bible studies, whenever I do everything that I've done as far as God's word, ever since I was little, I have only studied out of the King James Bible. It's just a personal conviction. I do not hold to the you can't be a Christian if you don't study out of King James, even though there are things from the more modern Bibles that you definitely do need to be careful for because one word makes a lot of difference. But I tried to study out of the NIV one time. The Holy Spirit told me no, so I never did it again. So, like I said, it's just a personal conviction. Just kind of a side note, just so you know. I mean, because whenever I go into the Bible, it's always King James. I've heard people say that the Geneva Bible is more accurate than the King James. I haven't really researched into that, so they may be right, they may not be. Um, Now, some people who have researched it, maybe like put it in the comments. Yeah, they are correct. Then I'll definitely look into it. But for now, I study out of the King James. Today's lesson is going to come out of Matthew chapter 5, verses 19 to 48. And because I tend to feel like get a little bit more rushed when I'm trying to do like a few verses at a time. Then it's like so rather than do verse by a few verses at a time and then just explain, go to another few verses, explain, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna read the whole thing and go through that way because I work better in groupings. I do not know why, but I even tell people at work this, and but yeah, it's maybe odd, but hey, I'm odd. What can I say? But let's get started. So Matthew 5:19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall in no case enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said by them of old time, you shall not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raca, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, You fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar, and you remember that your brother has anything against you, leave there the gift before the altar and go your way. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Agree with your adversary quickly while you are in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver you to the judge, and the judge deliver you to the officer, and you be cast into prison. Truly I say unto you, you shall by no means come out thence till you have paid the uttermost farthing. You have heard that it was said by them of old time, You shall not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that whosoever looks on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart. And if your right eye offend you, pluck it out, and cast it from you. For it is profitable for you that one of your members should perish, and not that the whole body should be cast into hell. And if your right hand offend you, cut it off, and cast it from you. For it is profitable for you that one of your members should perish, and not that your whole body should be cast into hell. It has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you, that whosoever shall put away his wife, except for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced commits adultery. Again, you have heard that it has been said by them of old time, you shall not forswear yourself, but shall perform unto the Lord your oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Neither shall you swear by your head, because you cannot make one hair white or black. But let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. No, we're not horses. I said that, not the Bible. For whosoever is more than these comes of evil. You have heard that it has been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, that you resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if any man will sue you at the law and take away your coat, let him have your cloak also. And whosoever shall compel you to go a mile, go with him 2. Give to him that asks thee, and from him that would borrow of thee turn thee not away. You have heard that it has been said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he makes his sun to shine, to rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. For if you love them which love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the publicans the same? And if you salute your brethren only, what do you do more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Now, that's not the only Bible verse I will you be using today, but as we're walking into, walking through, I'll kind of, I'll kind of go to different spots, but the first one was on. Sometimes I forget what I just read. My reading comprehension has never been the greatest, so I'll go back and refer to it. Whosoever shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. First, I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall in no case enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, particularly verse 20 has always stuck with me, because there are people who are not living for Christ, who are more just than people who confess themselves to be followers of Christ. Now, on the surface, this is bad, but the thing about it is, we don't know a person's motive. We can think we do, but to wrongly guess is could lead us into a world of trouble. Because if you guess and are wrong, there have been many cases, sadly, which ends up in a person, those people never speaking again, which I don't believe this is God's will. I believe that God's will with everybody is that they're able to work things out, and be able to put the past behind them, because that's ultimately what forgiveness is. Like the process of forgiveness is being allowed to earn people's trust back. 'Cause I can tell you personally that if when I was crazy, dishonest, rebellious as a child, if my parents, particularly my mom and my brother and sister, were not forgiving, I would not be the person that I am today. There's no question about it. So I do believe there is power in forgiveness and being able to earn people's trust back. So that is not that's not God's will of never speaking with a person again. Um, but now, but as far as the motive of, do they have a good motive or do they have a bad one? Thing is, it's like, you know, we will get hurt when we're trying to believe a person has a good motive, and we find out that it's bad. But none of us gets through life without getting hurt. We wish it happened differently, but it doesn't. That's just a hard reality about life, is that we're going to get hurt. But how do you tell the difference? Now, First John chapter 4, verse 1 to 4, or no, 1 to 3. I mean, I'm in Revelation. I don't need to be in Revelation. I love that book, but not using it today. First John chapter 4. It says, "Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that confesses not that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof you have heard that it should come, and even now is it in the world." Now, so anyone who confesses that Christ has come of God is of God, and those that don't believe that are not of God. But I would even personally, now this is not backed in scripture that I'm aware of, but typically if a person is comes across as arrogant, that, I mean, you can question whether they're truly of God. But I do know people who come across as arrogant, but when you talk to them face to face, heart to heart, behind the scenes, that's not their heart at all. They just come across that way. So anyone who believes that Christ is come in the flesh and that he's the only way to heaven is of God. And those that believe that he is not the only way to heaven is not of God. But now on the don't, when it talks about don't, all right, just back up. Actually, no, I don't need to go back up. Go forward. Oh wait, I did that. Nah. Oh wait. Anyway, boomerang. But I have to don't kill. Now, essentially, contextually, it's don't murder, because there is a difference between killing and murder. Killing is a lot of times is looked at in the context of self-defense, versus murder is premeditated. I don't like this person, even hate this person, whatever, and that's what they do. But Ephesians 4:26 says, "Be angry but sin not. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath." Now, something that God showed me about a year ago about this is it's like pouring a pop into a glass. Every like once you get to the top, when you stop, the it'll the fizz will fizzle over, and you never want to react when the in the fizzling over part, because that is a time where you will make decisions that you will regret. Now, I notice this whenever I'm dealing with an issue that I've never dealt with before, because I don't know how to deal with it properly, and so I will overreact. And I look at the way I react. I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I just did that. What? But no, it's like no. It's important with this is don't shame yourself over it. But it's just one of those things that you look at and you're like, yeah, I still need work. But you don't. But let things calm down. Like take a step back from the situation and look at it and say, okay, this probably doesn't need to be done this way, um, and then just like being able to look at things from from a whole like full picture of asking like yourselves questions and asking like talking things over with God, and God's like, okay, this happened. There's nothing you can do about it, but this is what we're going to do going forward. Things are a lot more productive with that when we do it His way. But it's not the anger, but what we do with the anger that makes it right or wrong. Now, the word raka, is worthless person, and talk for I think I made a sentence maybe two. I forget exactly which about that term being called worthless is a put down, and it's like you put a person down to the point where they're trampled under the foot of men. But so yeah, really, nobody is worthless. There are people who are deceived, but they're not worthless. There are people who act um, not wise, but they're not worthless either. There's no such thing as a worthless person because God doesn't create worthless. The world tries to, but God doesn't. And the word, it being called a fool. A fool, in my belief, it should only be used in the context of people who say that God does not exist, but don't use it continually because that's like you like beating a dead horse. Okay, we've the whole idea of saying it one time is hopefully they think about it for a little bit and like they think about it and say yeah when you look at the like creation, when you look at like the vastness of creation, there's no way we came about randomly. Again, nothing happens randomly, but hopefully you get people to think that way. But because of free will, you can't force it. um, let's see, did I oh and the oh yeah, just a sec, I'll go ahead and like oh yeah, talking about reconciling with your brother before before they go to you know um, before you bring your guilt before you sacrifice your gift to the altar. Now, the power of forgiveness is a it's supposed to be done in as we go because for the reasons that I'm about to illustrate, as far as like something that I heard years ago and it's always stuck with me is when you carry unforgiveness and it's undealt with, it leads to resentment. Resentment, when it's undealt with, leads to bitterness. Bitterness, when it's undealt with, leads to hatred. hatred undealt with leads to murder. And if you've hated, like 1 John 3:15 says, if you've hated someone in your heart, you've already murdered them in your heart. So dealing with our unforgiveness, or like dealing with an issue at the top is the easiest way to deal with it, because then through that you'll find out, yeah, um, there's probably a better way to handle things than the way it was handled. And you handle it, like person to person. And I mean, it can usually be, more times than not, it can usually be squashed right then and there. um, Now, and then when it talks about don't commit adultery, adultery stretches beyond lust for man and for woman. I was talking to a person earlier. There was a talk on, like, on Facebook. I don't know what led to the talk, led to the comment, but it's a true thing that women who start their OnlyFans, they have a lust for the wrong kind of attention. They think for whatever reason that this is the kind of attention that they deserve, when they deserve to be treated better, because God sees them higher, and everybody should definitely have more respect for themselves than that, because selling yourself for, for pornographic content is lowering yourself. It reduces your value every time you fall into that. um, but like, the same thing for a man. When a man lusts for the pornographic content, he's lusting after the feelings that happen, the chemicals that are released during that. So with every addiction, there's chemicals released in our body that makes it where it's harder to break an addiction. The addiction itself is not the hard part to break. If you told, I mean, like, I've known a lot of people who have smoked, and they have all said that the cigarette is not the hardest thing to break. It's the chemicals that are in the cigarette, and even the chemicals that are released, through that. So if people can break the chemical addiction in our body, they can break the addiction. Let's see, where am I? Other than in my living room. But anyway, it's a lust. I mean, adultery is a lust for power, prestige, and prosperity. And when you commit adultery, you commit adultery against God every time we put something ahead of Him. Now, on adultery, key thing to remember for all you young people that may be watching is, you make the person, whoever you're going to be friends with, or date, whatever, make the person get to know you for who you are, not your outer beauty. Your inner beauty enhances your outer beauty. Now, keep in mind when I said, like, the Lord looks at the heart. When God changes your heart, and you choose to follow Him, there brings about a radiance about you that makes you more beautiful than what you already were. God creates beautiful. God doesn't create ugly. Again, the world creates that. But yeah, it's like inner beauty enhances outer beauty. You seek the outer beauty. It detracts from the inner beauty. Now, marriage and divorce. On a side note, I'm glad I'm not a marriage counselor, because it is difficult to encourage divorce. Now, I've always had this conviction that when a couple or when a person brings to me issues that they have had just in a personal note, I will always do what I can to encourage them to stay together, because more than it, marriage is not about you. Marriage is not about you as individuals. It's about making each other better. And also, when you look at the lives of, because I come from a divorced home, and as amazing as my mom has been, I had to learn a lot of the things that I learned about God and the importance of a father. I learned through God, and so divorce affects kids more than they'll ever let on. And and so it's just it's just very important to fight for the marriage, because even issues you guys have as a family, being able to work through those issues as a family, you become a stronger unit, as opposed to, okay, this is something that's an that makes the decision to that this back up that this is something that is irreconcilable. If I don't know that there are too many things that are irreconcilable differences. I mean, even with Christ, Christ says you've doted yourself. It's what Jeremiah 3:1, I believe it was. I quoted it in one of my podcasts. You dote yourself on, with many lovers, but yet you come back to me. And so I believe Christ's perfect will is for us to even work out our like the cheating and adultery, and dig to the bottom of why, work it through together. Yes, that is hard, but so is following Christ. So is loving people who don't love you back. Um, Being a follower of Christ is hard work, but it's worth it. It is work that is worth it. Let's see. Don't lie under oath. Don't break promises. Psalm 15:4 says he swears to his own hurt, yet changes not. Now, that means a Christian keeps his word or her word, no matter how difficult of a situation it puts them in. Now, again, I love my brother's example. If there was anything that could possibly make it where he wasn't able to keep a promise, he didn't make a promise. And because it's better to not make a promise and be able to pull through than it is to make a promise and not. Um, so yeah, just the whole idea is when you make a promise to a person, you better keep it, because that's the honorable and right thing to do. Don't use bad language. Now, don't be deceived. First Corinthians 15:33. Don't be deceived. Evil communication corrupts good manners. It extends far beyond don't use bad words, but it's a matter of watching out who you hang out with, because people, and I believe that the Holy Spirit is there for, for even for the for this purpose. Is there were people, and I've made my share of mistakes as far as who I've chose to hang out with. I mean, we all do, but the Holy Spirit will warn you. Yeah, this isn't the type of person you need to hang out with, and when you listen to him, it's greatly enhances your life. But if you find out, because people can change too, so yeah, they could end up being a person that you enjoy, later on, but just not at that point in time. Um, because I have had a person apologize to me for bullying me when I was in high school, and he and I have a great deal of respect for one another to this day, and so it's like your I mean so being like it's important to be around people that are going to bring out the best in you, that are going to inspire you to be better people, and not the ones who encourage allowing you to not be that, not be that. But anyway, um, now the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, turn the other cheek. Now persecution, turn the other cheek. This is something that I heard about a few months ago, and I think the concept makes sense. Turn the other cheek causes the persecutor to acknowledge the persecuted as an equal, and shows this by not following through. So when a person persecutes you and they smack you on one cheek and you offer them the other, to not do so, to not smack you on the other cheek, shows that they acknowledge you as an equal. To me, if they smack you on the other, that means I'm putting myself in a higher plane than you are. Which the reality of it is, there's nobody. I was thinking about this morning. There's nobody who is above anybody, because really, when you break down life, we're not in very, you know, we're not really that different. We all wrestle through things like things that we wrestle with, and we cover things up, that like to protect ourselves from different things, and we find out we're really not in much different places. So really, we're all just trying to figure this life out. Nobody is better than or worse than anybody else. We're all trying to just figure it out. Um, Now, the difference between persecution and defending yourself. I mean, as I kind of illustrated a little bit with murder, you're defending your family. You have every right to defend your family and defend yourself. If a person comes up on the street and just out of the blue decides they want to cause a fight with you, um, you have every right to defend yourself. That's now the law. I mean, like when it comes to the law, people, I don't know of one case in my life ever that the law getting involved wasn't about. I mean, like that that a lie wasn't used to get the law involved. Because if everybody told their side of the story, their truthful side, the law really wouldn't need to get involved, because everything that we do is a response to something that somebody else did in the past or previously. So so if we acknowledge ourselves as a perpetrator, he punched me because I punched him first. It's like, it's like, oh, okay, it's like. It's not a defending thing. It's just a being honest. If everybody were that, this world, I mean, there would be far less court cases. There would be a far less far less people in jail. There'd be and people would get along with each other a lot better, because you naturally respect people who are truthful over people who are dishonest. That's just human nature. We have the like the set right and wrong that God placed within us when we were born. Um, Again, great, more influence, no, more evidence there is a God. But anyway, I threw that in there. But and yeah, going the extra mile. Now, this is something about a year ago. I heard my mom went. My mom's pastor was talking about living in the second mile. The thing about living in the second mile is, well, it's a hard thing to do, because my brother and I used to talk about this a lot, about how we're willing to help others, but others are not as willing to help us when we need help. And that's a fact that people who want to live right are going to face, because the reality is most of the people that you go the extra mile for are not even willing to go a lap with you. And now it also works on the other case. There are times where we will not go a lap with a person who will go the extra mile for us, but it's a matter of looking at that and iron sharpening iron, because every one of us is this life is difficult. We get knocked down. Sometimes we need other people through going the extra mile for us to pick us up and dust us off and help us to encouraging each other to keep going. That's a part of iron sharpening iron, because none of us are strong at all the time. None of us are strong all the time, and so it's being ready, willing, and able to do that for others. Now, loving your enemies. Now, it's easy to love those who love us and hate those who don't. That's not character building. When you can pray for those who persecute you, bless those who curse you, um, and do good to those who despitefully use us, that that shows, whose we are. Because that is strength that comes from God. Because whenever because he's the one that gives us the strength to do right when everything within us wants to do wrong. And then lastly, it talks about in Matthew 5:48, be ye therefore perfect as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Now, this has two meanings. Now, in our natural understanding, perfect is, God's standard is perfection. It shows us that we fall short. That none of us have arrived just yet. We won't, and this is a perfection we will not see until we get to heaven with Christ, because we have this flesh. We're fighting our flesh and everything. Our flesh wants to do what it wants to do. God's like, no, 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 do it this way. You'll be more greatly benefited from it. And we sometimes we listen to him, sometimes we don't, but we do find out when we listen to him, our lives are better for it. But spiritually mature is the other definition of perfect, which is causes us to admit wrongs when we mess up. It causes us to, when we mess up, say, okay, God, help me to do better. And causes us, it's causes us to help ourselves to learn from our mistakes, because there's no room for victimhood when you follow Christ, because when you follow Christ, you are walking in victory, not victim. So there's um, so that's something to take into consideration, is that there's no victory in victimhood. So it's when you recognize that you make mistakes, but God will help you to get better. That's when you get the victory. Victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. I can quote that song anyway. Probably probably shouldn't at this point, but that's about it. God bless. Love you guys. Have a good week. Comment, subscribe. Whatever you like to do, with this. And I'll talk to y'all next week.